Okay, hello and welcome everyone. So in the last video, we talked about importing the task management system template into Five. So just for a quick recap, what we did in the last video was that we went to our website, which is at five.co. We clicked on use cases, and in the use cases, we get a list of a bunch of template applications. And if we scroll down to the bottom, we will find a task management system right over here. And then simply click on download template to download the application, and then we can import them inside Five by pressing this button. It simply says import. Okay, so now that we know how to import applications inside Five, let's just go inside the development environment. And now we are inside the task management application. So let me just quickly run it again and let us see what we have right now. Okay, I can see we have an application right in front of us. So again, it's the same application. If you click on my task, we get a bunch of items over here from create, editing, details like dashboards. We have upcoming tasks, completed tasks, and then we have our categories over here, and also uncategorized tasks over here. Now, since we know how we can import applications into Five, let's talk about how we can work on them. Now, as you saw earlier, our application already has some features. For example, if you click on visuals and then forms, you see that we have two forms called as task and then categories. If you go back to our application, this is our task form, which is this one, and this is our categories form. Now, if you went back to your application and let's say that we delete them, so we can click on an application and then click on edit. And if you want to delete an app or delete a form, you click on this button which says delete, click on yes, and now it's gone. Now let's click on run to see if it has disappeared from our application or not. Okay, so let's go to my task, and as you see now we only have 3 menu items. Our form has disappeared. So now let's go back to Five and let's click on visual and then form wizard. Now what we are going to do is that we're going to rebuild that form again. So you click on data source, and in the data source you select your tasks table. Five then automatically fills up most of the information for you. So now you just click on next. Here again you have your information, most of the information filled in for you by Five. What essentially Five is telling you is that you have a form with these fields with its respective captions, and these are its details. Okay, so I can pretty much change a lot of things over here, but I like to keep things simple. Let's just click on description so that it appears on the list. What it means is that if you go back to our application and I open up another form, let's say a categories form. So this is our list. So currently our categories form only has name available on the list, but now since we have both title and description, then both of them will appear, the title and the description will appear on the left hand side, and when you click on them, we'll get all of its details. So let's click on save now, and let's run our application again and see. Okay, so now you see I have an extra menu here called as tasks, and it is essentially the same feature, which gives us the ability to create and manage and edit tasks. Okay, so now that we know how to create forms inside Five, which is pretty simple, let's talk about creating reports, which is similar to the structure. Okay, so essentially this is just a very simple SQL query that we are calling, and that query is just listing all of these details from its tables. Using SQL queries, you can easily build such reports, and then you can even attach those queries to build charts which look like this. So let me quickly show you how we can do that. So let's minimize Five. And now you can write your own SQL queries inside Five by clicking on data and then queries. Now, as you can see, already your application has a bunch of queries, of course, because we are creating a lot of charts and reports, and essentially it's just an application based on data. Now what you can do here is that you can click on add item to start creating your query. Simply click to add here, and now Five opens up a code editor, which is very similar to MySQL Workbench. So you can write out any SQL you want here, or you can also use the designer to build your own queries. I'm just going to use the code editor because that's familiar with everyone. Okay, let me just quickly go back to my application. Okay, as you can see here, we have a list of pending tasks and we also have our priorities. Now in our application, we don't have a report which shows me the number of tasks in each priorities. So what we are going to do is we are going to simply create a very simple report which just shows me each priority and of course number of tasks, and then we're going to use that query to also display a chart which shows me the same information. Okay, so let's see how we can do that. Let's minimize 5 and let's go back to our SQL editor. I'm going to start here by adding a very simple query which just counts the number of tasks in each priority. So let's go ahead and write that. Select priority from our task table, and then of course we can do a count star as we can do tasks. Now this can be, let's give it some indentation. Now of course this can be from our task table, and of course let's group by our priority so that we get every list. Now let's run it. Now as you can see, we have a report right on the bottom. I have all of my number of tasks in each priority. Let's go ahead and click on save. Once I'm done with that, I'll click on fields to see if both of my fields are here, which is priority and task. Pretty good. Now I'll go ahead and give it some ID. I'll just call it my priority query, and then click on save once we are done. Now what you want to do is that we want to use this query as a data view so that we can view whatever this query is trying to display. So in order to make a data view, we go inside menu and then click on add item. Here what you want to do is in the data source, navigate to the query that we just made, which is a priority query. Let's give it some title. I'll call it the priority data view. Okay, now once we're done with that, what you want to do is you click on data fields, and now 5 automatically adds both of my fields for me. But of course, if you want, you can click on screen fields and add more fields, or even in the data view you can add more fields from this button and display some custom property that I'd like to display with the report as well. But of course right now I like to keep things simple and simply click on save, and now I have a priority data view over here. Final step would be to attach it as a menu in my application, so that I actually have a menu item in my application and I can click on it and look at my data view. So let's add a new menu item by clicking on add item. Here I'm going to call it my priority tasks. Let's give it a menu order of anything. I'll give it 10 because most of my menu items have a single digit and this will appear at the last. And for an action, select the data view that we made, which is our priority data view, and we can select a parent item. I'll just keep it inside my tasks. Okay, so once we're done with that, let's click on save. Okay, so now that we've added as menu item, let's go ahead and build a chart out of this one. Okay, then let's click on visual and then chart wizard. Inside chart wizard, let's select the query that we built, which is a priority query. In the X value column, I can select which priority I want to display, and the Y value column, let's give the number of tasks. And as you can see, my data is affected live in front of me. I'll give it a title. I'll call it number of tasks in priorities. Okay, I hope I didn't butcher the spelling, but yes. Of course, over here I can toggle to display my chart title or not, and now it gets displayed. I can of course change the type of chart type. Let's say I can have a horizontal bar, I can have a pie graph, but of course let's just keep it as a bar graph to keep things simple. And I'll just give it a better color. Let's give it this color. Okay. Let's click on save. Oh, before saving, we need to give it a title. I'll again just call it my priority chart. Let's save it. And now click on visual and click on menu items. Again, let's click on add item and let's call it a priority chart. Give it a menu item. I'll call it 11 this time. And the action can be the chart that we just made, which is a priority chart. Save the app. And now let's run and see what we have done. Okay, so our app opens up, and now as you can see, I have a menu item here called as priority chart. And if I click on that, as you can see, I get my chart in front of me. I can toggle the legends here if I want. I can even hover to get more details. And we also have a report here, but if you remember, we put a report inside the My Tasks parent menu. So I click on My Tasks. If I click on priority tasks, I get my report in front of me. Now the question is, how do I make layouts like, like this, where I have two charts and then a report? Because currently I just get a full screen layout of my report and a different full screen layout of my chart. Now that can be done by putting both of your actions inside a dashboard. Now if I minimize this, and let's say now if I click on visual and then dashboards, as you can see, I already have a bunch of dashboards because most of the layouts in this application are dashboards. Okay, so click on add item. We can start by, of course, giving a name to our dashboard. I'll just call it my, let's keep it as simple as you can get. I'll just call it my priority dashboard. And the way dashboards works are that they are very similar to how grids work. That is, you'll get number of rows and number of columns that you can put inside your dashboard. And let's say that you have 2 columns and then 2 rows. And essentially you'll have a 2 by 2 grid inside your screen, which is how it will work. So then you can place an action or an item on the top left corner. You can place one on the top right, or on the bottom left, or on the bottom right. So the number of columns and the basically just works like a grid. Now, since I only want 2 items, just one chart on the top and one report on the bottom, so I'll just give it 1 column and then 2 rows. Once I'm done with that, I'll just click on actions. And now I can click on this plus icon to start adding actions inside my dashboard. Now on the page position, I can select between A1 and A2, which is A1 is on the upper half and A2 is the bottom half. Let's select A1, click on save, and I'm going to select my chart over here, which is a priority chart. So let's click on save. Similarly, let's add in the R report for the bottom screen. Select A2. Let's find our report over here. It should say query inside the brackets, or data view actually. Yes, so we have our priority data view. Let's click on save. Save again. And now let's go back to my visuals. Let's go to menus. And now let's add an item. I'll call it my priority dashboard. Let's give it a menu order of 12. Inside action, you can select our priority dashboard. And in the parent menu, I'll again give it my tasks. So it appears inside the parent menu, my task, and we have it. Basically, it's categorized really well. Okay, so let's click on save. And now let's finally run our application and see what we have. Okay, so let's go inside my tasks and then let's click on priority dashboard. And voila, as you can see, now you have the dashboard right in front of you. We built these queries from scratch and we made these charts from scratch as well. Okay, so now we know how to create forms like these layouts. So now you can edit and actually add and mess around with your other tasks. We learned how we can create reports similar to this structure, which is essentially a query. And we also learned how we can quickly create dashboards with charts and reports. Okay, so that was just a very quick overview of 5. We basically covered how we can download template applications from our website and quickly get started with them and build on top of them. Now, of course, you have the freedom to mess around with these applications as much as you want. 5 gives you much more flexibility that you can use custom code and functions to bring around any feature of your choice and much more. Okay, so if you liked today's video and if you want more future tutorials on 5, make sure to like and subscribe. Till then, see you all very soon. Thank you.